Great. Well, thanks, Matt, for getting us all organized here. And we've just come out of close and we're going into open now. So we've been actually open. So um, first item, do we have anybody on, Matt? Oh,
I'm not seeing anyone yet.
okay. Might get the press later, or we'll be getting taping it anyway. So moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Anderson, that the minutes of the October 6th, 2020 closed session and the October 6th, 2020 regular town Minto Council meeting be approved. All in favor? Opposed, if any? No? Hearing none. Additional items as disclosed. Anybody got additional item? Ron? Anybody else? Oh, okay, I might have one. Okay, thank you. We have no public meetings, no delegations, correspondence received for information requiring direction of council. We have the Saugeen Conservation Authority minutes. Has anybody got any questions or want to bring any of that forward? No. Jean, are you asking me something there? Or no, you're good? Okay. So, moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councilor McKenzie, the Council of the Town of Minto receives the correspondence for information. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Reports of committees and town staff matters. I'll now turn over to Councilor Elliott to assume the chair. I'm trying to do this. If I miss anybody, just yell at me, okay? If I don't give somebody the chair that's supposed to be getting it. Thanks.
And my job as chair is to introduce Matt. Matt, go ahead and give your information from our meeting.
Awesome. Thank you, Councillor Elliott. So we have two sets of minutes from September here. The first set's from prior to last council, where we reviewed projected demand for ice and the staff report to council indicating next steps. We put the ice in Harriston next, and the first day of the season was a week ago, this past Tuesday. Both skating clubs have started their season there, and things are going well to date. The second set of minutes is from a couple of weeks ago, and we discussed the temporary reclosure of the Norgan for weekend feature films. Given the content available, there's just not a lot out there. We're looking at reopening in January, but the theater remains open for private bookings. The COVID-19 Assessment Center has been open since October the 5th, and things are going well at the Harriston train station. We're still hosting quite a few private and drop-in pickleball games in Clifford and Harriston. The Clifford Hall is an ideal venue for continued play into the winter months, so it's exciting to see that go from a seasonal program to year-round. And we also reviewed the ice rental agreement, contract, and rules that have been distributed to sports organizations and private renters. As I mentioned earlier, things have gone well so far regarding the protocols we have in place at the facilities. And we've only had a couple of gentle reminders required to date, and some of the organizations have helped get that message out. So given the current situation, things aren't going too bad.
That's it, Matt. Okay, any questions? Councilor or Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Chair Elliott. Matt, I apologize if you said anything about the ice and the curling clubs. Where are we with that?
Yeah. So through Councillor Elliott, we just got word from the Harriston Club yesterday. They don't plan on having a season in Harriston. It sounds like they might pursue options in Palmerston. We did start the plant in Palmerston last week. So the curling club there is going to have a season, and it'll likely start either next week or the first week of November. So.
Any other questions? Judy?
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. I was wondering what are the hours of ice time being used in Harriston and Palmerston? Do you have a handle on what that's going to be?
Through Councillor Elliott again, it's hard right now. There's some groups that have indicated they want to have a season, but they haven't started yet. So right now it's primarily minor hockey and the skating clubs. And then we've actually picked up quite a few folks that are renting privately. And I think with kids home from school, we've had people book an ice at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekday. It might be better to wait a couple more weeks, and then I can bring some information on estimated hours for the season, but certainly enough to warrant 2 facilities being open. We wouldn't have been able to do all this just in Palmerston.
Okay, good, thanks.
Any other questions? Jean? You're muted, Jean.
Yep. I lost my speaker.
There you go. We can hear you.
I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm just wondering what are people's thoughts, or what are our thoughts about all these facilities with things closing down again? Like for the winter months, how far do we go forward? Are we anticipating that we're gonna have to close our venues down again? We've closed the office down. Where are we thinking we're going there?
Do you want me to take that? I can maybe make a comment as far as if we get pushed back into stage 2, is that what you're thinking?
Right.
Councilor Gibson?
Wondering, right?
Yeah, and that was a question I had on the radio today with Murray. Murray called her today. I was on the river, and he was talking about the arenas and stuff.
Right.
And basically what I said is right now, I looked at our stats this morning in Wellington. We have 0 active cases in Wellington right now. But
Right.
I'm a little concerned about Dufferin and Guelph because they're getting some of the spillover from people that are stage 2 or that are coming. So when I talked to Dr. Mercer, she is very adamant in trying to keep things open if possible. So I think if we can show that if everybody behaves themselves and does what they're supposed to be doing and we can keep our numbers down, I think we'll be all right. But I guess we'll have to make decision based on what happens at the province if they decide to give. But I don't think they're going to put everybody back. But are we going to be separate then you've got, if Guelph spikes up and Dufferin spikes up, or is Wellington going to be looked at differently? I don't know. But I would keep my eye on that. I think we're going to be all right, but that's my thought.
Okay.
But if we need to, we have to do it, right?
Yeah, I can't give any foresight from a hospital. We're certainly prepping for a second wave, or into it, but again, not up our area, not yet anyway.
And even our northern neighbors like Grey Bruce and they're not really heavily, and Perth isn't Perth Huron. So our area is not too bad in this whole geographic area. And again, kids aren't going back and forth playing hockey with other towns and stuff. So
Right.
I think as long as we keep that, we should be able to stay open. That's just my thought.
Certainly very local right now. And even if they do get the opportunity to play games, it's going to be within a small bubble. So you're not going to see people coming to our facilities from an hour away like you used to in years
Right.
gone by.
Yeah.
Dave was first, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you,
Then
Chair Elliott. Matt, do you know, is Howick, is Mount Forest, is Arthur, is Drayton, are any of these other arenas opened?
I believe all of the above.
Okay.
I haven't heard of any nearby like municipalities that have chosen to keep their arenas closed. I know with us right now, we've got 2 out of the 3, but that was based on demand. If we had demand for the 3rd, we would have put ice in.
Sure, and I'm sure when you look at North Perth, they have 3 arenas as well. Is it likely they likely don't have ice in all 3, but I don't know that.
I could check into that, Deputy Mayor Turton. I think they might, but I don't know for sure.
It's not important. I agree with Jean. We'll look after ourselves and do the best we can. And if it comes time that we have to make changes to our plans, then that's when we do it.
Yeah.
Jeff has his hand up.
Ron.
Also
Sorry,
got
just in regards to the private rentals, are we cautious of who we rent it to? Like, are we letting renters out of our public health units rent the ice, or are we staying within Wellington right now?
That's a good question. So with most of the private renters are local. There are a couple that are from Howick. And when we met with the health unit maybe about a month ago, when we asked them that question directly, their response was, so long as they adhere to our rules and guidelines that we've got, because not every health unit is the same. As long as they adhere to those, then we're okay that people can, essentially border cross with respect to health units. So, but that said, we do have a couple, but they're not from that far out or that far away.
I can tell you that Hanover doesn't have ice right now because they have a field hospital in Hanover that they never used. So they haven't taken it down yet. So I think their council has made this because they've got all those units up there. So I found that out yesterday when I was with some people from Hanover. So.
Have we got any more comments or questions? Okay, I'll read the motion. Moved by Councillor Dirksen and second by Councillor Gunson, that the council of the town of Minto receives the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee minutes of the September 14th and 28th, 2020, and approves any recommendations contained therein. And have we got any more questions or comments? All in favor? And that's carried. And now give the chair back to the mayor.
Thanks, Ron. And now we have economic development. And I'll turn it over to Melinda. She's still with us, I think.
Yes, I
Yes,
am. Can you hear me?
yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. So Mayor Bridge, members of council, these are our minutes from Thursday, and Taylor prepared these pretty quickly to get these to you for this meeting. So there are a couple notes. We did have regrets from Mayor Bridge and Councillor Anderson. So in fact, Mayor Bridge was not in attendance at the meeting as noted.
Yeah.
And Kelly Schaefer, who is noted as present, was also not at the meeting. I do want to highlight some things that came out of this meeting because it was a very good meeting and the committee hadn't met for a while. So from a Launch It perspective, we are open here at Launch It. Actually, that's where I am tonight. We do have a lot of business tenants here that are seeing clients and a lot of key supports here. So Family Counseling Services is operating out of here and has clients. We have a homeopath doctor that's seeing clients here. And so we felt it was important that we stay open despite the municipal office being closed. We have all of our proper procedures in place with plexiglass, masks, sanitizer, contact tracing. So we are still open and have a full house of businesses, and it's great. That's what we're here for. During the COVID time, as you know, we ran a large number of virtual sessions, and Summer reported that over 14 virtual seminars, we had over 510 attendees, and that Harold is continuing to meet businesses virtually and has visited with over 42 businesses, providing one-on-one support. In terms of the roundtable updates, some important things to note. A lot of our sector reps were there, and Shirley Borges did note that the Life Labs has been very busy and staffing is an issue that they are trying to work around to move people through there. And they also recognize that the winter is going to be a problem because people are waiting outside in the cold. So they're working to deal with that. In terms of the ag sector, they were fortunate to not be too greatly affected and things moved along. And that's fortunate because ag is one of our largest sectors. But some things to note for going ahead is that a lot of costs were seen in the ag sector up front, trying to accommodate like virtual trade shows and all the things that they had to put in place to deal with delivering their business virtually. And as well, looking ahead to the future, they're going to find challenges in terms of sales. Other things we wanted to note out of this is our largest employer, TG Minto, is also doing quite well, but with quite well and busy and high volumes comes the workforce challenges. And workforce challenges continue to be a bone in our, I don't know what's the right word, to be a problem here. Despite COVID, our employers are still looking for workers. As you can see, TG is looking for 100 people right now and has 190 temp workers coming in a day to try and keep up. They're working 6.5 days of overtime every week, or 6.5 days, which is mandatory overtime every week. So That's a challenge. We have businesses in healthcare that have workforce issues with PSWs. We have the ag sector looking for people. It seems to be a continuous problem despite COVID. So there are jobs still to be had. Taylor's done a great job with our Minto's Makers markets. And again, our last one was held this Saturday in Clifford. We had over 100 people in 3 hours through, of course, following all the COVID protocols. And our homepreneur network is doing very well with over 100 local businesses in this growing network. So we are looking at doing some programming in January around side hustling and partnering with the Makers Collective in Kitchener around that. As Gord noted, we are concerned about our community groups in Minto. A lot of them depend on our local businesses for donations, sponsorships, things like that. And everyone's scared to approach those groups or those businesses in times like this, and rightfully so. So how can we go ahead into 2021 supporting our volunteer groups is a key issue. And then on the residential side, things are obviously going well. We're seeing a lot of people moving here from larger centers. On the bad side, it's driving the price of housing up even further than it was before. But our subdivisions are selling very well. 2021, we'll look back to getting going on our Move to Minto campaign again. So yeah, the whole meeting, there was kind of this sense of like things are going very well, but then there's this sense of the problems that come along with things going very well, but also the awareness that looking ahead of the unknown is causing a lot of challenges for businesses. And another issue that ran to the top in this meeting that's maybe not reflected in these minutes is mental health. And that's not something that we've heard from this group before, but in listening to all of the roundtable updates, it was very clear that not just employers, but their staff are all struggling. And even if their businesses are doing well, it's going to be a problem. So we are looking around some programming delivered through Launch It to support that. And then the last thing in our minutes was just ratifying the CIP grants that we approved via all the emails when our committee wasn't meeting during the summer. So sorry, that's a long report, but we haven't met in a long time. And there are a lot of key issues coming out of this meeting. So I wanted to make sure I noted them. If there's any questions?
Questions for Belinda? Just to add, Belinda, unfortunately I was double booked that day and I thought I was going to get off one meeting, get to yours, and I couldn't get to it. Even with Zoom, I couldn't do it. But I know you were talking to the group as well, and we've got a great advantage in how you set it up with having the sectors there. Some of the other municipalities don't quite have that contact availability. So today at the economic development at the county, we talked about, and I think you're involved in some conversations with Yana and Crystal now about doing a BRNE to reach out, like a shorter version of a BRNE to reach out to our businesses to find out what's going to be their needs now and what they're going to need going forward. So we can set up some, both at our level and at the county level, some strategies to either, and also back to both the provincial and federal government, and say, here's some of the needs, because we're at the ground level. And I'm looking forward to that. So I know you're working on that. And I think they put that to bed today. So they'll be reaching out to you shortly. Some of the concerns were to make sure the survey is very, I was going to ask your opinion on this, very shorter, right? So that, because people are getting a little bit tired out there. So I think they're trying to work the questions down between 10 and 15.
And I think the thing to remember for people with the business retention expansion is it's more than just a survey. It's about the relationships with our businesses and them knowing that we're here to support them. And in order to do that, we need to hear from them, right? So it's more of a conversation than a survey. And we were already planning on connecting again with our businesses. So happy to hear that the county is going to engage in that as well.
And they'll be able to use some of that Amafra software to help formulate it, right? So, but I think, work together with them on it, and they're, I think that's really important. We need to do that, and from a county level, we need to know what kind of monies we got to put aside to help out. I'd like to see us do more of what we've done in the past, which we maybe give some more money to the municipalities on a 50-50 basis. If we're putting X number of dollars in for a shopping thing or whatever, or some kind of support, that they would match it, right? That type of stuff. So that's what we're working towards. But looking forward to what you're thinking about that. And I didn't get a chance to talk to you before this meeting, but I think that's going to be a big win for us. And on the mental health issue, I know the county's got their For Hope, and they're doing their campaign. So there's, I think, 40,000 of these going out in the next couple of weeks, and it's giving people the opportunity to know where to reach out to. And I know they've been working with mental health on this as well. So they are putting some money out there to get that concern. That concern is certainly there for the mental health, and it's interesting that the business has brought that up. So thanks for that. Any other questions, Jean?
More comments than questions. The mental health issue, while we can give them the numbers of services to reach out to, the services are overwhelmed.
Yes, they are. They are.
Completely overwhelmed. We're constantly holding mental health patients in the hospitals. There's just not enough service out there for them. And I think we're going to face some real challenges if we get shut down tighter this winter. If people get shut into their homes, it's really going to be a challenge. And again, the downtown businesses and the isolation, I'm really concerned about how businesses are going to manage if they have a small space. They can't get very many people in. How many people are going to stand in line to get into these small businesses once the weather is harsher and colder? And I don't have an answer for that. I'm not sure what, but David is struggling right now. And in the wintertime, he only has room for 2 people if he stays within protocol in his office.
Yeah.
And other businesses in town are small as well. The flower shop, they can only get 1 or 2 people in there. Are people going to stand in line to get into businesses? I don't know if we can come up with shelters or some sort of a communication device where people could set up appointments and people could be in their car and they could be contacted. Whether there's an access to a centralized system that would help with that, but they're really going to struggle with this, both the people and the businesses.
I think you've heard that, right, Belinda?
Yep, exactly. Yep. We've heard that. And yeah, and definitely like the businesses cannot be shut down again. If that happens, we are going to see a lot of businesses closed. So even if they're open, we have to find a way to help them no matter what.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like clearing of the streets, like making sure that it's easy at least for people to get in and out. Sometimes the streets, and I know we work hard on snow removal, but the snow by cars and people are trying to get, I don't know, but it's going to be a real challenge. And then as people can't get out and do things like that, then we're going to have more mental health issues. Like I'm really concerned about our seniors and our shut-ins that don't get to see anybody at all. I can't imagine what it's like for them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really concerning.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, anybody else? Any comments or questions? Okay, I think I've got in here somewhere. Yes, moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott. The Council of the Town of Minto receives the Economic Development Planning Committee minutes of October 15th, 2020 and approves the recommendations contained therein. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Staff reports. Launch at lease agreement.
Yep. And I'll save time on this one. I'll be short. Basically, we've been here at our location and launch it since we opened in 2014. Things are going very well. I reported some numbers in the last report, so I won't go into detail there. We have an amazing landlord here who's been very generous to us, and he continues to be so. Although our rent for Unit 4 is going up by $75 a month for this term, he continues to not request that we pay like a $900 a month fee for our other unit, Unit 3, and we simply forward any payments onto him that come to us. So for example, Kathy Butcher from Sun Life Financials in our front retail space, what she pays us in rent gets forwarded to our landlord. And then the Youth Action Council, when they're meeting, use the back half of the space and they provide an honorarium that we provide to the landlord. And that is proposed to continue. And again, I want to acknowledge the Minto Chamber of Commerce because without their partnership, Launch It would not be feasible. And obviously the County of Wellington for their continued support as well. So in terms of this, it's an increase of $900 in our rent for 2021 and 2022. And I've accounted for that in our budget that's going to be coming forward shortly. If there's any questions.
Questions? I just follow up with a comment. I know when we started this out, Belinda, we weren't sure, but this landlord has been a godsend because every time we've had a little hiccup, whether it's we've tried to move a wall and it's a problem, or there's this or that, he's always stepped up to the plate with us and really treated us really well. And I really appreciate that. Okay, I got a thing here. Moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The Council of Town of Minto receives the October 14th, 2020 report of the Business Economic Manager regarding the launch lease agreement renewal and authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the agreement. All in favor? Opposed, if any? None? Okay, pass. Okay.
Good night.
Thanks, Melinda. Good night.
Thanks, Belinda.
And now we've got Cam here. Where is I see him there. Now almost. There he is. There he is. Oh, he's in his little office up in the fire hall there, I believe. I just see some of the trains you got up there.
Fire trucks.
Fire trucks. Sorry, fire trucks. Go ahead, Cam. And thank you for this report. Go ahead.
All right. So we had you guys all received letters from different people regarding our kennels in Minto. So I was asked to go do inspections again. Every one of the kennels, except for one, I did book an inspection for, and then I went back and I've done another one since. So you guys have the part. I had a nice little PowerPoint presentation done, and then COVID hit again, so I don't get to play with it here.
Well, we've got it here.
You guys have that on your.
Yeah.
So currently we have 15 kennels in Minto, 15 licensed kennels in Minto, and there's 3 more that are approved for zoning, but they haven't put their kennel together. There we go. They haven't put their kennel together, so they're not operating yet. So those they're not approved. They're just approved to go ahead with the kennel. They won't get their license until everything is done properly. So of the 15 kennels, 1 is a boarding kennel. That's also our dog pound. Rick Root is there. So he's licensed for up to 25 dogs. I doubt that, I don't know how many he keeps at a time, but anytime I've been in there, he's only had maybe 3 or 4. So, you know, he has the potential, he has the room for 25, but I think it'd be very rare to see him have that many dogs. Another kennel is licensed for a maximum of 15 dogs. It's not really a kennel, it's just that she has these pets. She's a big backyard, the dogs come and go out of the garage, and they're all pets. There's no breeding, nothing. It's just, those are her dogs. So 13 of our kennels are breeding dogs. 9 of them are licensed for up to 15. They don't all have that many dogs. Most of them have less than what they're licensed for. 3 are licensed for up to 25, and we had one kennel that's licensed for 39. That kennel was grandfathered. That's the reason it has that many. So, like I said, most of our kennels are licensed for fewer than, have fewer than what they're licensed for. So all of our kennels do get an annual inspection for their licensing. And like I said, I did go back and get an unannounced inspection and took these pictures. So when you hear them say that they're kept in barns, this is the milk house of one of these that's kept in a barn. This milk house has been converted on the inside to a kennel. So that there are pens, suitable size pens. And you see out back, there's an area that they can come and go as they please in and out of the kennel. And that's this slide is a picture of that's the inside of this converted milk house. So the next one, this is I believe it was a chicken barn. So he has in-floor heat in here. The dogs have access to the outside. They're kept separated. Like it's a nice, neat, clean kennel. And that's just another picture of the dogs and the kennel there. This is another kennel out in the country. Again, the dogs have access to the outside. There's feed and water at all these kennels kept up. This is our kennel that was grandfathered. This is only a part of it. So there is, this is a separate building that houses some of the dogs. As you can see there, they have access to the outside. There is heat inside that building. The next picture, this is taken inside the barn. So this is the whole downstairs of the barn has been converted into a kennel operation, and they've been running this kennel. Well, this is new people that have this kennel now, but the people that had it before, like they've run that kennel for a lot of years. And then this slide, this is a large fenced area that they take the dogs outside of the kennel and they let them run loose inside this large area. And then again, here's another one showing, you know, this is the inside of the kennel. All these kennels are heated. They're kept clean, and they have, as you can see in that picture, there's the runs outside, so they can come and go as they please there as well. Again, another one, the dogs, there's their outside run. Inside the kennel, same thing, they have heat, they're kept clean. These are all, this one actually shows, these are purebred dogs, golden labs, they're golden retrievers. And this is our boarding kennel. You don't want to hear, I think. So this picture, this is a brand new building that was built specifically as a kennel. It's extremely clean. It is, like I said, it is brand new. You can see here they have suitable size pens. Those lines running down from the top, those are water lines. So they have nipples, so they always have fresh water in there. Kind of like pig nipples, I guess. If you can go, you're jumping around on me here. And the last one, this is another one. Again, they have access to the outside. You can see the dog door, so they can get in and out. There is heat there. The whole ball of wax, like everything is clean here. So, as I said, all these kennels, all our kennels have been able to show that they have their vaccinations have done. They have all the veterinarian records up to date, their breeding records, and where the puppies go, like who the purchasers of all the puppies. And yeah, so there's been no difference between the time I booked the inspection, I go in and I have a look at it, and then I went back and I did the inspections unannounced, and there's no change in these kennels whatsoever. They're clean, the dogs are well maintained, the records are all there, everything is good. That's all I got.
Thanks, Cam. Questions? Jean? Oh, you're still, there you go.
So my only question, Cam, what about, like, I know those letters were a bit over the top and they didn't have any names, they just had these big numbers, but are there unlicensed kennels? I get that the licensed kennels are doing a good job. They certainly look to be. The areas seem appropriate, but what about the people who aren't licensing? Are there people out there with large puppy operations that we either don't know about or maybe hear about, but they're not official?
Well, they're possibly, but I don't know. Nobody has approached me and told me that there's a kennel running, like an unlicensed legal kennel in Minto. I'm not aware of any.
Okay. Because you just got to wonder where all these reports come from, because those kennels all seem, and I mean, I know some of the kennel breeders around here, they run great operations. They're well known, their dogs are well known, they're well cared for. You just wonder where all of this smoke, if it's smoke, where it's coming from. But I just think there might be some unlicensed ones. They probably be the ones that aren't doing a good job of taking care of the dogs.
I think if you read those, each one of those emails, if you read one, you read them all.
Yeah, it was a form letter somebody drafted.
Exactly. It was all cut and paste. And I don't know where they all came from. Not all of them are from this area. And I doubt very much that any one of those had ever been inside any one of our kennels in Minto.
Yeah, I suspect it too. The letters weren't, they were just allegations. They were unfounded and they're just scuttlebutt or something. And I think they went through, didn't somebody respond? And it was from the Don Cherry organization. And they said, we are not responsible for this, but they took some of their wording or something. You could tell that it was a group that's.
So anybody else have any questions? I just want to thank Cam. Oh, sorry, Deputy Mayor Turton, go ahead.
Cam, the grandfathered kennel with 39 dogs, what exactly does that mean?
It means they're allowed to keep 39 dogs on the property. So those are mostly purebred Burmese mountain dogs that they have. They have a couple designer breeds, but they're allowed to breed up to 39. So it doesn't matter how many females, or they probably only have a couple of males, I think, but a lot of different females. So they can have up to 39 dogs on that property in that kennel. And now that doesn't include the pups, because pups aren't, they don't qualify as a dog until they're 12 weeks old. So most of those dogs are gone long before 12 weeks.
So if the 30, so let's say there's 37 bitches, and they all have, so they're not all bred every year. They try to breed them, but they don't normally all catch. So let's say there's 20 of them that catch and are pregnant, and they average eight pups. Is that fair? 6? Let's go for 6.
Yeah, that's more than fair.
That's a whack of dogs.
Yeah.
And so those dogs are brokered.
Not necessarily.
What's the other options? And
They actually advertise online. Now I don't know for a fact, because this fella's pretty new at it. Like he purchased the property, so he's pretty new with this kennel. But they would also, I think they run a website. I'm not 100% on that, but they have people come in, view the dogs, and then pick a puppy, sort of thing.
so, so a puppy mill then, Cam, what would a puppy mill look like compared to that 39 dog kennel?
It could be almost anything. Like if you look at any one of those slides,
Yeah.
you'll see that the dogs have room to run. They have access to the outside. If you look at a puppy mill, a lot of times you're going to have too many dogs in too small a space. They don't have access to the outside. They're just not in good shape. If you Google puppy mill, you'll see
I have.
stacked up crates over top of crates over top of crates. It could look like almost anything, but generally they're not well kept. They just don't have the space to move.
So we presently have 15 kennels, 3 more requests. Is 18 a lot in Minto, or is that enough, or do we need to cap it?
That's entirely up to you guys, but the problem is people create the demand for dogs. Right now, dogs are selling at a high price because everybody wants a dog. So the demand is there, so the supply is there.
So, sorry for belaboring this, but what is in it for us other than these farmers having an opportunity to make a few bucks, to pay their taxes, to pay for their kids' schooling and all these other things, but dollar value? So let's take, for example, last meeting, we had the bylaw for the rezoning. That's $5,000-6,000 likely. What's our fee? What's your fee? What is the town of Minto's fee for an annual kennel?
Depending on the number of dogs, it goes from $150 to $500, I think.
I think it's around 500.
Yeah.
Like it's 500 for the 39?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much time and effort do you put into this to one kennel? Is that enough money? Is $150 enough money? Is that enough for us to be charging?
I don't know. You'd have to have somebody crunch the numbers, but probably not. I don't really know.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot, Cam. I'm just.
I think as your point that we're not making enough money to pay Cam's salary, you can look into that. I think, I mean, my big concern is what Gene brought up, and I've just put this out there. Sure, we can cap it, but then what happens is if you still want to go ahead and do it, then we have no control. I was quite pleased with one of the things that this council was concerned about was, and I think there are a couple of councilors mentioned it, was that we give them all kinds of time to come out and do an inspection once a year or whatever. He did these on announced.
Yep.
And that's just what we see. I see some really good pictures. I see a really good people doing a fairly good job. And what Cam said, there was just a report the other day, the demand for dogs is there. So if we create like anything else, as soon as you stop something, you ban it and say you can't do any more, then I'm sure there'll be a lot more what we call unlicensed ones that we'll never find out about, because if they broker them or they do something like that. I was quite happy to see the things that we were concerned about when we had these notes from people, which I totally agree weren't right, but there was some local citizens that were concerned. And I think this should help them see what we're doing to make sure that we run a good facility and that these dogs are treated right. I thought that the pictures of it, and I loved your comments on it, Cam, because you're out there and you actually talk to people. So I feel better about this. If it's a dollars and cents thing, if we're not charging enough for a bylaw, which we've had other situations, I think, Dave, we can look at where we've done things too cheap for years and then realized that we're not recouping our costs. That's a whole different issue, but I think we can look at that. But at the end of the day, I'd rather see us with, and all these licenses have to come to us.
Yeah.
So we have to see every one of them. So we can certainly, and if we think one's too close to something or whatever, we can make a decision based on them. We're not catching stone on that. But so I'm kind of happy to see this report. I was happy that it came in, and it helped me sleep better at night that I know that this was unannounced visits, and these are well-run operations. Some of them beautiful barns, and some of the ones we thought a picture of what a barn is. Yeah, an old milk house is really, in a lot of cases, a really nice structure that's not being used for a milk house anymore. It certainly could be used for this type of thing. So I'm kind of happy with it. But I can certainly say, and Derek maybe look at this, if when we do our bylaw updates, we do them once a year, I believe, or like our costs or our fees, then we might look at this again and look to see whether we're in line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to council, absolutely, we should be doing a cost benefit analysis on this license. I completely agree. We need to make sure we're at least covering our costs. So we'll as staff will undertake that review and report back to a future council meeting.
Okay. Does that help, David? Is that what you're?
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Councillor Elliott.
Yeah, I was really happy to see those pictures. They looked like happy puppies, happy dogs, and my concern goes back to not the kennels that we have. We have a lot of our population own 3 dogs, and they put them in a little pen that's big enough to hold them, probably not big enough for what we need. There's no running water. They're out in the cold. They have a little shed or something they want to go in, and nobody brings them in, and they're not well taken care of, but they meet the bylaws that we have. Should we be looking at that too? Changing the bylaws to be more.
Well, I think that has to be, Derek, I'll let you talk about it. I think more of a complaint issue, Ron, because that becomes a
But
animal welfare situation rather than,
they
I mean,
may,
3 dogs having 3 dogs and looking after them properly isn't a big deal, right?
they may meet the complaint, but is our bylaw suitable for what the needs of those animals are? I say not.
Yeah.
I say not.
If I could, Mr. Mayor, so the treatment of animals falls under provincial legislation, and it coincides with our bylaw, but anybody that's mistreating animals would fall under the Animal Cruelty Act, and we have the ability to investigate that and bring in the appropriate authorities. I think Cam has done that once before in the history here in Minto. So, you know, as I've said many times, we take animal cruelty allegations very seriously. So if we get a complaint, Councillor Elliott, of somebody who's leaving a dog outside in -20 temperatures, that we will go and investigate, absolutely. We take it seriously. As far as the bylaw goes, you've already debated whether or not you want to review this bylaw again. So I don't want to bring that up.
I'm not concerned about the kennels, Derek. I'm concerned, like one of our bylaws says, and Cam, correct me if I'm wrong, if a dog can turn around inside its pen, that's allowed. It's a good pen.
It may be so, but again, I think.
So it's not being cruelty animal by our bylaw. So you got a dog that sits there that can turn around once, twice, sits there for, in the summer, maybe 24 hours.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I understand what you're saying, Councillor Elliott, but there are other issues as it relates to animal cruelty, regardless of what our bylaw says. And those officers have that ability to investigate along with our bylaw officer. So if we get a complaint, we'll go investigate.
Okay. I'm concerned that they're covered by our bylaw, but is that good enough? Should we be making it more? Should we make a bylaw that's more suitable for the dogs?
I would suggest that the Animal Cruelty Act probably supersedes our bylaw in many cases as it relates to the welfare of animals.
Okay, I don't know the bylaws, but I know Cam's hands are tied when it comes to the animal can turn around, so it's good enough. And
you're not talking about our kennel bylaw. You're talking about
personal
about having 3 dogs.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a different.
One dog chained to a post. I don't, there's all kinds of.
Again, I think Derek's right. That has to go. We can't make a bylaw that we don't have 20,000 people going around and checking this. So if somebody complains, we can get animal health involved and.
But if you have a complaint and the bylaw covers it.
I don't understand where we're going with this. So
yeah, for you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Elliott, if it's an animal cruelty complaint, there's other provincial legislation regardless of what the bylaw is. So the bylaw, if there's cruelty to animals, the legislation is the provincial legislation that prevails, not our bylaw.
What suggests cruelty?
Well,
does the bylaw suggest cruelty, or the dog looks good, he's healthy, everything's good, or she, and everything's really good, but they're in a little pen?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't have a definition in front of me of what the Animal Cruelty Act suggests, but it is a very broad definition from my reading of it not that long ago.
From our kennels, I think we're great. We got people that are professional, take care of their animals, but I'm concerned about how do we is our bylaw strong enough to be able to deal with, and I tell you, there's all kinds of dogs around our communities. Everyone here would see that. There's dogs tied to whatever, or in a little pen, or not doing. And it's unfair to our bylaw enforcement officer to go in and the bylaw's in front of him and they're meeting it. Maybe our bylaw isn't strong enough.
It's a different bylaw we're talking about, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So let's let Cam have a bit of an opportunity with Derek to look into what your concerns are, and then maybe
It's not fair to our people to go out and say, everybody knows that there's problems, but they're meeting the bylaw, they're meeting the system. So I think we got to be.
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry,
I'm
that's
happy-
nothing to do with kennels.
No, nothing to do with Kennels, Derek. Okay.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to review it with staff and we'll have a look at it and bring something forward in a future council meeting.
Thanks, Derek. I appreciate it.
Judy, sorry, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, just now though. Thank you to Cam. Thanks a lot for going out to see these kennels and for putting this presentation together. I think, there were a lot of concerns in those letters, and I think you've kind of ticked all the boxes and covered them off. And I guess I can't say that I'm too surprised by the good quality in our kennels. We have, sorry, I've got something funny showing on my screen. We have, I think we have a good base of people that are doing a great job. So I was glad to see the pictures. Pictures worth at least 1,000 words in this case. And so, yeah, I just want to thank you for putting that together.
Thanks. All right, anybody else? Then I'll read the motion. Moved by Councillor Gutson, second by Councillor Dirksen. The Council of the Town of Minto receives the dog kennels presentation from bylaw officer for information. All in favor? Opposed? No. Okay, thank you. And I'll turn it over to Councillor Dirksen to assume the chair. Roads.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. And is our roads and drainage manager on the call? Can't see you.
There you
I'm here.
There it is.
Oh, you've been gaming by the look of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to talk to us about the Brunswick Bridge in Palmerston.
Yeah, so this report's just the results of the RFP that was a requirement for the federal government for the funding application. With lots of interest with the RFP, we only had one submission. And is there any questions?
I was going to make a comment, but I'll leave it because I'm just going to be negative. I'm not negative, but just it bugs me that we had to go through this in the first place and we ended up in the same position and spent 5 months, but I won't make that comment. Sorry.
I heard it.
You just did.
Are there any questions? Okay, I'll read the recommendation. Moved by Councillor Elliott, or the motion, I guess. Moved by Councillor Elliott and seconded by Councillor Anderson that the Council of the Town of Minto receive the Roads and Drainage Manager's October 15th, 2020 report regarding the results of the engineering services request for proposal for the Brunswick Street structure in Palmerston, and further that the proposal be awarded to Triton Engineering Services Limited at a price of $59,700 excluding HST. Okay, any questions now that I've read the recommendation? Okay, call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And thank you, that carries. And I'll turn the chair back to Mayor Bridge.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Now I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. So see, Mr. Treasurer Duff is here, and today we're going to talk about our reserve and our reserve fund review policy. So it's exciting stuff, Gord.
Oh, yeah, I don't have any slides or pictures, so it's not quite as visual, but more of a necessary thing and kind of back to municipal business anyway. So yeah, we took a look at our reserves and this is one, Minto's been around for almost 20 years now, and a lot of our reserves have just kind of, they've grown and they've evolved as we've come along. And some of our titles, I think they go back to the predecessors. I think Councillor Elliott and that may remember when we first amalgamated, there were a lot of rules around the reserves and that you had to keep in place, and we're long past that time now. So basically, it's a long report, but what it's really showing is the attachment 1, where we are. There's a lot of small reserves, like small dollar value reserves, and it is more complicated to review and track, and they all have good reasons for why they were established, but some of them maybe have outlived their purpose, or it may be easier and cleaner to keep track of them if they're consolidated. So we kind of went through it, and we have proposed one way we could consolidate. Again, I kind of see this as a bit of a living document. See how this works. We still want to meet our reporting obligations that we need to do for financial reporting, but also maybe make it a bit more useful for the managers and they can see where they're at a bit better. And in conjunction with that, we've created a policy which it lays down in writing probably a lot of things that we have in the back of our mind, but this puts it down a little more explicitly, and hopefully will give all of us a bit better direction when we do have something that we have to make a decision on. And there's a few buzzwords that reflect, if you remember when we have our financial statements, how there's obligatory reserves, which are like our development charges and federal gas tax, and deferred revenue is basically when we use those reserves as far as PSAB goes. So anyway, there's a lot of detail on kind of what the reserve is, why it's there, and what we're shooting towards. So again, this is kind of a visionary document in that realm too. All of the things that's maybe where we'd like to be, it'll take time to actually reach there, but at least we've got a goal. And as the old saying, if you don't have a map, you don't know how to get there. So anyway, I'd certainly entertain any questions or anything.
Councillor Dirksen.
I'm not sure, maybe I'm not understanding this correctly, but so it looks like Clifford Cemetery has Clifford and a few different titles. Well, 2, Clifford Cemetery and Clifford Cemetery Operations.
Yeah.
But then whenever you amalgamate them, you're still ending up with just Clifford. Does Harrison and Palmerston not have reserves?
No, not so to speak. Again, the history on that, I think it was a bequest or donation from quite a few years ago. Yeah, and I think that one, there was 2 or 3 came in at once, and if you recall, we used a lot of the proceeds of that to build the columbarium, and I think the residual, a good chunk of it anyway.
So I do agree with that. Through you, Deputy Mayor Turton.
Go ahead, Mayor Bridge.
The Gord, that big chunk that we got from that one estate, it had to be spent, Judy, in the Clifford Cemetery. It was right in the document, so that's why that probably is there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So at that time, I know we did quite a bit of work on the building as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Fixed it up because it was deteriorating a bit. Any questions for our treasurer? Judy, sorry, are you finished?
Yep. Thank you.
Mayor Bridge?
Just more of a comment, and I appreciate all the work that both Mark and Gordy's done on this, because this aligns a little bit more, Gord, to what the county does as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just getting to where departments kind of know where the reserves are, but they're not pigeonholed into too many spots where it's, because lots of times we may have to take from one to another. And I think it's when this is finally done, as you said, it's a living document, it's finally done, and we see it closer to budget time when it comes back at budget, we'll have a good idea of how it's going to interact with our budget process. So I'm looking forward to seeing, how this is going to work out.
Yes, Gord, so that living report, you just renew it twice a year or something, and every year or twice a year, we look at it and all the information's there. So, any other questions? Hearing none, then we have this motion is recommendation is moved by Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councillor McKenzie. The recommendation is that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's Reserve and Reserve Fund Review and Policy Report, and further that Council of the Town of Minto approve the consolidation, closing, and renaming of reserves and reserve funds in accordance with the recommendations contained in the report titled Reserve and Reserve Fund Review and Policy, and that further that the Council of the Town of Minto approve the General Reserve Fund Policy. All in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. And I'll pass the mayor or the chair back to our mayor.
Other businesses disclosed. Has anybody got, we had Ron. I think, Ron, you were on. Where are you? There he is.
I got a couple things. First thing I know, and it's not really our problem, but it is, on Main Street in Palmerston, I noticed, again, we got garbage. They're not on Main Street. I think our tenants up above are not understanding that garbage doesn't go out once a week. It goes out every other week now. And so it goes on the street. They don't pick it up. Nobody moves it unless we move it. So I'm hoping that we can apply pressure to the county again to get these tenants to, or some way of keeping the garbage off the street. Get it. We got great Main Street now, thanks to Belinda and all the people in our community to get it there. And then all of a sudden you see garbage sitting there. There was black garbage bags, as a matter of fact, the day before that were sat up there too. And they're moved. They know because they're moving their garbage to somebody else's store.
So Derek, do you want to speak? Yeah, Belinda isn't on the call, so if you could speak to what we've been working on this project, this concern.
I absolutely know. I've been talking to Belinda.
So Derek can maybe bring us up to date, but I know we've done some work.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor Bridge, to Councillor Elliott. Yes, as we know, the transition has been a challenge in Palmerston. We've been working very closely with the county on a number of different things, on a schedule handout, if you will. We also come to find out that a lot of tenants didn't get green bins. So we've been working with the county. We actually had 30 of them dropped off last week that were being hand delivered to the tenants along with the schedule and the handbill. So we've made great strides, and quite honestly, the county has been very good in helping us with this issue. So we're hoping to see quite a bit of change. Also, the landlords have been pretty good about understanding the issue. So we're hoping to see a change in the coming weeks. But it is of top of mind for us in Palmerston of late. So we are keeping a close eye on it.
Only saw 4 or 5 bags compared to about 20. So.
Well, this only happened, Ron, this week. So some of them wouldn't have got the green bins until this week.
Yeah.
And the instructions. So we'll give it a week and maybe hopefully. One of the concerns for the residents where they were saying, how can you keep my bag? It's smelly. And if they use the green bins properly and get them out, hopefully it'll work. And we've got good cooperation from the county now because we didn't have these green bins, and in fairness, a lot of the tenants didn't get them. So now they have them. They have the rules. They have the schedules. And working with the landlords in Palmerston especially, we haven't had the issue in any place else we know of, but in Palmerston we seem to have it. And hopefully, if this doesn't remedy it, we'll have to deal with it again. But they have no excuses now.
We're down to about 4 or 5 bags. So
and hopefully we'll get them all.
Just free the bad guys, maybe. That's it.
Yeah.
The good guys are fixing it, hopefully. Okay, just thought I'd bring that forward and thank you everybody for that. The next thing I had, I just wanted to announce that in our park, we just planted, as Mayor Fletcher's planted 30 to 40 trees and shrubs again in around where our falls are. Gary Gray Eve's son, donated those, and in memory of his mom and dad, Eve and Eric. So they're out there. They did it today. It's going to look really good. We were really concerned because he wanted all these trees, so we got Fletchers involved and we manipulated them so it's not going to be a big forest around that. So it's done properly. But just wanted to let council know that still moving forward, and thanks to the Gray family for that.
Thanks, Ron. Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I just want to talk about the food bank. I'm a member of the Hairston Food Bank, and I know that it's Christmas is coming. I know Halloween isn't here yet, but if some of the other food banks in Minto are suffering a little bit from lack of supplies and food, I'm just wondering, by the next meeting, I'm going to go out and talk with Barb Burrows and Palmerston and Bruce Shannon and Clifford and see if there's some way that we can help get the word out there, because I know that the Hairston Food Bank is serving quite a few extra people with the COVID situation, and we're running low in and I'm sorry I don't have a better report. I just thought I'd throw that out because I'll have a better report for the next meeting. And second thing, Mayor Bridge, I'm sure talking about garbage and the blue box and all over the news today, our Premier canceling the blue box. Can you comment on that?
Sure. Actually, he's not canceling it. He's actually moving it.
Okay.
Moving the blue box program to the consumers, to the actual producers of the garbage. This has been ongoing for quite a few years. It started in the Liberal government, actually. They started doing study. They're doing it out in BC now. So we've been watching it through our solid waste management at the county level quite keenly, because as you know, we just went with the green bins, which helps us eliminate some garbage going into our landfills. It will give us more time on our landfills. But the blue box program, I just looked at the stats today. It's way under because there's no money in it anymore, because nobody's buying the product, right? So I think what's happening is once the producers have to pay for all their own garbage and take over the bin program, so it'll leave the municipal world. Right now, the municipal world subsidizes the blue box program in order to the environmental issues that we deal with. So it'll leave us and go to the producers. Now, there is a concern that the producers put it on the bill. But what they found out in BC, if you look at some of the BC studies, once they realized that they had to actually pay for getting rid of the waste, a lot of their packaging became a lot nicer, became disposable in the sense that it would be biodegradable or other things, because there isn't a product. China used to take all our plastic. They don't take any of it anymore. They woke up. So we're in a big problem, and it's going to be a blessing if the province takes it and puts it on the producers' backs, because the producers will have to now pay for those garbage collections. So we're looking at it from solid waste, but this year in solid waste, I believe the number, and I saw it today, I think we were close to almost $200,000 or $300,000 less revenue from our recyclables this year already. We're not to the end of the year yet. So that's a negative variance that we're gonna have to deal with. And there's just because we get the bill, and we have to collect it all, and we put it in, and then whatever they sell it for, they give us back a percentage, and that percentage is going down every year. So the cost of picking it up, and I'm not one to want to have it thrown in the ditches or thrown in our landfills. We can't have that either, but it is a cost on the taxpayers that shouldn't be there. So I'm looking forward to it being taken away from us, Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? I already said mine. I did mine during the council, so I'm good. Okay. And I do believe we're down to bylaws. Oh, no, any notices of motion? Sorry. No. Okay, bylaws. Do you want to read these out for me, Annalee? Because Or you want me to get them? I can get them on this.
That's fine, Mayor Bridge. Would you like me to read them on your behalf?
Yeah, because no, I get a little bigger here.
Okay.
My printing was very small on my printer. I can't read my printer. Go ahead if you want to read them.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. First bylaw 2020-71 lease agreement. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Gunson. That bylaw 2020-71 to authorize a renewal of a commercial lease agreement with 2323004 Ontario Inc. for 1 Elora Street for the business incubator be introduced and read a first, second, third time and passed in open council and sealed with a seal of the corporation. If you wanted to call for all in favor, Mayor Bridge.
All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, passed. Go ahead.
Thank you. The next one, moved by Councillor Anderson and seconded by Councillor Elliott. That bylaw 2020-72 to confirm actions of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Minto be introduced and read a first, second, third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation.
All in favor? Okay. Thanks, everybody. And adjournment.
Yes, Mayor Bridge. Right? Moved by Councillor Mackenzie and seconded by Deputy Mayor Turton that the Council of the Town of Minto adjourn to meet again at the call of the Mayor.
All in favor?
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Take
Bye.
care. Stay
Bye.
safe.